ahead. The most annoying trait that you find in authors.
So I'm not going to, like point fingers at anybody, but I will tell you what I am.
General.
Yeah, I know I'm scared of that happening to me. Like I hope to God
Hmm.
that I never end up doing that, which is
Hmm.
to become very self-indulgent in my writing, right?
Hmm.
To have this notion that just because I have written it, it is amazing and it is fantastic, and therefore, like kuch bhi chalega. People will read it anyway because I'm writing it, right? I never want to reach a point where I end up thinking like that, because I think that's a trap which only
Mhm.
kind of causes a nosedive when you're writing anyway. So yeah.
So, Vedashree, tell me, does it help with your profession, being an advertising profession, being in the advertising profession, to create stories as your day job? Does it help you when you're writing your novel, or do you have to completely come out of that garb of advertising and marketing and keep your writing more pure and honest? And is it like a hard work to do so?
So okay, it's like a layered question. So I will answer in parts. The one thing is that being in advertising has actually helped me write in some ways, because copywriting, right? Advertising writing, it instills a sort of discipline in you,
Hmm.
because from a very early age, from like almost the beginning of your career, you are told, listen, nobody wants to read what you write. Nobody wants to know about the soap. Your job is to get them to read about the soap despite this. So you better make it as interesting as humanly possible, right?
Right,
And
right.
the second thing you're told is that nobody has the attention span anymore. So if you can say something in 5 words, don't use 15, because no one will reach to the end of those 15,
Correct.
right? So
It makes you
between these two
disciplined.
things, yeah, there's a
Frugal.
lot of discipline, because even now when I'm writing, if I write like a really long sentence, I go back and I read it. I'm like, what is it? People run out of breath reading this. Shorter sentences. So it was, it's actually good because it keeps the, I mean, and in my genre particularly, which is like the thriller, suspense, mystery genre, you need very tight writing.
Yes,
You need to keep people on the edge of the seat, and that's not going to happen if you spend like 3,000 words describing trees. It's not going to happen.
true.
So that that in that sense, like being
It
an
has only
advertising
helped
writer
you.
really helps me. Yeah. As far as whether the day job gets in the middle of it, I mean, yeah, there are times when it obviously does, because that is also a commitment that I have to keep. And um, like for instance, writers are given this advice, that you should write every day, you should write a little at least every day, and
Mm,
sometimes there are days
not
when that's not
possible.
possible for me. But that being said, having a day job also makes me appreciate the amount of time that I do get to write.
Correct.
So the time that I do get, then I don't have time to like mess about saying, oh no, writer's block, kuch aa nahi raha hai.
Mm.
No, just write. Like you're getting 1 hour, just
That's
write
right.
in that hour. We can
That's
clean it
right.
up later. So I would say all in all, it's actually like works to my favor to have like a day job that also in that sense.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm glad that you also clarified this day job part. My question also was about keeping your writing pure or devoid of the whole advertising influence. Like copywriting is very different from fiction writing, because in fiction you are expected to create a world of your own. You're expected to create the characters who have their own whims and fancies. So does it ever come to you that how will I do this? How will I build this world? Or is it something that really interests you and it compels you to do so? It doesn't really matter what has been your training or what is your day job or what you do 90% of your time.
See, I am like a professional daydreamer. Okay, so like, I mean, I will be doing my job anyway, but then side by side, there will also be like this track that goes, okay, so she went on the train and then she had to get off at the station. So how to get it? Oh, this can happen, and that can make it. Yeah, so
Okay.
it's like a parallel track that's going anyway. And like you said, because advertising and fiction writing are essentially so different in content, right?
Hmm.
It's never I mean, there's no chance that they will ever get mixed together.
Hmm.
It's just
Hmm.
so completely different. It's like
Hmm.
you may as well ask, like, does carpentry interfere with
Hmm.
your writing? No, it doesn't. It's like a completely different.
Hmm. Understood. I'm asking you this because as a sometimes what happens is when you're doing too much of factual work, but that's something that advertising doesn't have. So you're not dealing with numbers, you're not dealing with, let's say, Excel sheets all your day. So it,
You will be surprised.
or you
You will
do,
be surprised.
you'll
Yes.
do. So there can be no life without Excel sheet. Let's put it that way.
Nobody
Even writers,
escapes Excel sheets.
you cannot
Between
accept
Excel and
Excel sheet.
PowerPoint, our lives are covered.
So give us some ideas or some tips, Vedashree, to the new writers or aspiring writers, how to go about writing comedy, because I think it's one of the hardest thing to do. And does it? Do you really have to have a funny bone to write comedy?
I mean, I definitely helps. I don't see. I mean, I think stand-up comedians will tell you that there is a structure to a joke,
Hmm.
right? There are certain ways in which you can arrive at a joke. Like for instance, there's you do something unexpected. You do a lead up to a thing, and the audience thinks you're going in one way, but then you suddenly take a dramatic U-turn, and that causes humor. So there are formulas. Not
Hmm.
that there aren't, but so that it's exactly that they're formulas. So if
Hmm.
you have if you're inherently funny, it is always easier to write comedy.
Hmm.
I wouldn't know how to teach somebody to be funny, honestly. And the thing is that a sense of humor is such a subjective thing, right?
Hmm.
If you
Not.
find something funny,
Yeah.
it's not necessary I will find it
Others will
funny.
find funny, right?
So yeah, so there is no really. I mean, aside from knock knock jokes, I don't like know of like broad mass appeal that it can be taught. So I don't know. I mean, I know I write funny, but I'm not the best person to teach
But it's
funny
not a
either.
formula that you always think about. It is something that comes very spontaneously, naturally to you.
See, my style of humor is essentially very snarky. It's rooted in a lot of sarcasm, and
Hmm.
that is like a hereditary trait. So I have grown up, listening to barbs and like sarcastic comments. So it is so what do you say? It is so much an integral part of me that now I cannot even. I mean, it's like breathing. Like, sarcasm
Correct.
is literally like breathing at this point. So yeah, I've never really thought about it second time round.
Right. So humor writing can have some formula, but it is largely your funny bone and the sarcasm that you can really blend into it. So tell us something that you're really proud of in all these three novels that you have done. Any character, any part that you feel that okay, wow, this is something that I did. Some piece of work that you're really proud of, or it could
So
be something from your advertising professional as well.
I mean, advertising profession is fine. I mean, there are things that have
Bread and
happened,
butter.
awards hai, ye hai, wo hai. That is okay. I'm really proud of her. In as far as the fiction writing is concerned, I am really proud of certain characters that I've created, like the side characters. I mean,
Okay.
obviously the main protagonist is where I have most of my fun, but for instance, there's this character that I've created of Uday, who's Avantika's best friend, and like Uday is such a stand-up guy, right? I mean, usually when you see like leading men in fiction, whether it's movies or books or whatever, it's one of two. It's
Hmm.
either like like the really macho guy who's like the alpha male, the
Hmm.
work, or then there is like the complete like puppy dog in the corner. Why won't you go out with me? I'm so nice kind of person.
Kind of boys.
And and I'm like, it's so difficult to like either of them, right? In this day and age.
Hmm.
So for me, Uday is like as close to a real man that
Hmm.
I have seen, right? Because he has shades. I mean, he's capable of jealousy, but it's at the same time it's a very diffident jealousy. It's just sort of like, yaar, ab main kya karu? It's that kind of a
Hmm.
guy, and at the same time, like a very very supportive friend, a very very supportive colleague,
Hmm.
which is I think what most women dream of more than like a romantic partner. It's like, yaar, koi support karo mujhe life mein. So he's that guy. And I mean, I thought that it was he came out really well,
Hmm.
and his interactions with Avantika, their banter and all is very reminiscent of male female friendships, right? So
Okay.
I was pretty proud of that. And then there's this other side character that I've created in Swear You Won't Tell, who's called like Ganesh. He's a ward boy in a hospital, and I mean I won't give out spoilers, but I just he's I thought his motivation and the way he works and the way his way of thinking was very interesting.
Hmm.
So like by the end of the book, he's called a Gandhian, but like not for the reasons that you would think.
Okay.
So for me, that was like really clever and really cool. So yeah,
Yeah, sometimes it's so fun to like not just critique your own work, but to also find some good points that you have done. So I
yeah,
always
and that
find this very motivating, this
yeah,
exercise.
I this is actually like a really great question because usually tooting your horn doesn't come naturally to most authors. And like if like not me, so I'm so never. I'm just like okay, I hope they didn't spot the typo on page 38. I'm like in that zone, right? So
Yeah, I mean, I think
so
as
this is
artists,
really
most of us are so self-critical. We are always having this imposter syndrome, uh, and I was reading this book by Elizabeth Gilbert, and also recently Artist Way by Julia Cameron, and she keeps saying that if you take off all the pressure from your creativity and let it just play, and then you see all the magic happening. Unfortunately, just like we treat our job, our academics, everything, we also start treating our creativity with so much seriousness and
yeah,
burden it with expectation.
yeah.
And I think having a day job kind of really takes off that burden from your creativity, and you take it as it comes to you, and not really
It does
force
because
it.
then writing becomes a privilege,
Yeah,
Writing isn't
exactly.
something that you need to force yourself to do. It's something that you are privileged to do
Yes,
despite having a day job. So then that just
absolutely.
kind of shifts your perspective differently. And I mean, what you said about pressure was interesting because I there is the moment we stop and say, ki, okay, I'm expected to do certain things and certain standard that I must achieve and all of that. You just kind of like you're putting yourself into a box.
Yeah.
Whereas I put a different kind of pressure on myself, which is mortality, right? Because every time like I feel like the motivation drop and it's just like
Hmm.
okay, I don't feel like writing today. Then I tell myself, ki, Acha, so if you die tomorrow, you will have 3 books to your name. That's it. You're okay with that, is it? And वो देखो मतलब वो ड्राफ्ट फर्स्ट ड्राफ्ट स्टेज में ही रह जाएगा बुक and the contract is done तो वैसे ही publish हो जाएगा. Now you think. And I'm like, oh, no, I better get back to
Better
writing.
get to writing.